Gale is a versatile attunement which fits the playstyle of many weapons accordingly. Hi, I'm Spiders, a top 50 Gale main, and here's my tier list of all Gale weapon combinations. Let's get into it. Okay, so starting off with Dagger. I think Dagger is better on Gale compared to some other attunements like Shadow or Iron Sting, for example, because Gale provides a lot of options for sticking to your opponent, such as using the inhale speed boost or Gale lunge and stuff like that. So I'd say Dagger is probably in B tier because besides that, there isn't a ton of synergy, because with Dagger, it doesn't really support a high feinting playstyle, because with Dagger, you really don't need to feint that much to land hits. Okay, so next up we have Fists. So, in my opinion, Fists are pretty similar to Dagger. However, you get a lot more posture damage, which is its main benefit over Dagger. Because with Gale, you can force a lot of blocks, so that makes high posture damage weapons especially strong. So for that reason, I'd say it's still in B tier, but above Dagger. Okay, so next up we have Dual Guns. So, the issue with Dual Guns is that there are a lot of downsides to using them. One very large one that I like to mention is that you get a very large speed penalty when you shoot with Dual Guns. This is a pretty big problem on Gale, because Gale focuses a lot on mobility, so having this downside hurts a lot. Also, there's some other downsides like having a small hitbox, which doesn't help either. Although it does have good range, which is nice, but I wouldn't say that's enough to offset the downsides. So this is probably going to be in D tier. Okay, next up we have Rapiers. So a lot of people probably run Gale Rapier because they see Eno using it, and he does pretty well with that. However, in my opinion, there isn't a ton of synergy with Rapiers with Gale. Like with Heavy, it is a very powerful uppercut synergy with Gale, and with Fist, it has posture damage, etc. With Rapier, it's kind of just a basic light weapon on Gale, which isn't bad because Rapiers are a good weapon, but that doesn't mean it has anything crazy about it, so I'd probably put it in the bottom of B tier. Although yeah, definitely still a strong weapon, but it doesn't have anything special with Gale, so that's why I can't really put it higher. Okay, so next up we have Medium Swords. So this does not count stuff like Hero Blades or the Curved Blade of Winds. I'm just talking about basic average swords such as Kyre's Blade, Shattered Katana, Forgotten Gladius, etc. So honestly, in my opinion, you don't really see this much on Gale because they're really just outclassed by Hero Blades and the Curved Blade of Winds. As far as I know, none of the swords have a special type of use case with Gale, and their crits aren't really anything special either. Pretty weak right now actually. So I'd say this kind of falls into the same category as Rapiers, so we'll put it in the bottom of B tier. However, I feel like they're worst weapons in general right now, so it'll be below Rapiers. Okay, so next up we have Spears. Now in my opinion, Spears are actually pretty good because the current playstyle with Spears right now is usually quite aggressive, which synergizes well with Gale's playstyle. It also has a lot of synergy with Gale because you can take advantage of Gale dashes very well with its crit, and it's also really good for roll catching, which is a big part of Gale. So I'm going to put this weapon at A tier for now. Okay, so next up we have clubs such as the Mace or Sacred Hammer. Honestly, these weapons really fell off after the crit wind up nerf, which just hurts the weapon in general. It really doesn't have anything special going on with Gale, and also, its playstyle isn't super aggressive either, such as something like Spear. It also has worse stats in general than Swords, so we're gonna put this in C tier for now. Here we have Rifles. Now Rifles are something you really never see with Gale. Like in all of my hundreds and hundreds of Chime matches, I've never seen a Gale rifle build. And part of the reason for that is I don't think it really makes sense with Gale's playstyle. Because really with Gale, you're going up close and playing aggressive most of the time. But guns are ranged weapons, so that doesn't really make sense. However, I would say that it does have some special use cases since it's pretty good for roll catching because of the bullets. So I'd probably put it somewhere in the upper levels of B tier. Also just not a bad weapon in general, although it did get nerfed a little bit recently. Okay, so next up here we have the heavy weapons. One thing I'd like to say before we get into that though, is that all heavy weapons are pretty good on Gale in my opinion. The first reason for this is that all heavy weapons are really good with uppercuts, and Gale synergizes well with uppercuts because of Rising Wind and all of the uppercut combos you can do on Gale. Also in general with heavy weapons, you want to be feinting a lot, which is what you do on Gale normally anyways, so that's another bonus. That being said, here we have the first heavy weapon, which is the Greataxe. Now Greatexes are pretty standard heavy weapons. I will say that Greatexes do have a smaller hitbox than the other heavy weapon crits, so we'll probably put this at the bottom of A tier. Here we have Greatswords. Now Greatswords are pretty similar to Greatexes in my opinion. However, the crits tend to have more range, which is helpful to have, and also I think it's better Greatswords than Greatexes right now too. So we'll put this also in A tier but above Greataxe. Okay, so next up we have Greathammer. Did gain a little bit of popularity recently after Far's video on it. Something I'd like to say about it is that it's a little bit different from these other heavy weapons because it has particularly high posture damage, which, as I said earlier with this, is pretty good, so that's another benefit. Also, it's a pretty nice crit that can synergize well with Gale dashes, so this is probably going to be at the top of A tier right next to Spears. Okay, so the last type we have here is Elemental Weapons. So this really just includes the Hero Blade and the Curve pretty much. In my opinion, I think Hero Blades and Curved are really the best option you can have for Gale. Being able to save many points not by going weapon, but by going curved or hero blade instead is really nice. Unless you pretty much get like every stat, which is very strong for builds these days. Also, the curved and the hero blade aren't that bad weapons on their own either. So for these reasons, elemental weapons like curved and hero blade are going to be S tier. Okay, so as you can see here, most of the weapon types are pretty viable in Gale. Everything C tier and above you can totally make work, so if you're not using one of the weapons that I ranked at the top, you'll still be able to survive for sure. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more Top Gale content. See you in the next one.